Hi everyone. So in this video we will see how we can start with the backend task. So in the last video as we gathered the requirements, so अब हम start करेंगे कि हम क्या क्या चीज़ पे वर्क कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे बैकएंड पे. So since I am familiar with backend, तो मैं backend पहले start करूँगा. So I'll just create a folder here saying server, cd server, and I think we have to get the setup of Express first, Express.js. Let's see how we can set it up. So we just have to run this command. So before running this command, I think we also have to do npm init to set up the project. Server, this is fine, index.js is fine, and I'll just do enter here, and that's it. So now we have a package.json file. So now if I run that command, npm install express, and I'll just wait for it to install. So now npm has installed Express, so we can start with a basic program. So first up, I just need to create a file which will be index.js, since that is the entry point of our server, and I'll just do index.js here. First up, I'll start with importing Express, and I'll say require Express, and here inside Express what I want to get the app. So I'll create an app object that will be of Express, and after that I'll define a port. So I'll give it a port of 3000, and I don't think I need right now just to get the server up. So I'll just do an endpoint app.get slash, and I'll say I have the request and response here, and I'll just do a response.send something like hello project. Okay, I think this should work fine. Let's see, let's run this. So for running this I will also need a setup of nodemon. I'll just do npm install nodemon. Do I have nodemon somewhere? Nodemon. Okay, so I'll do this npm I save dev, since this is a dev dependency, so I don't want to install it inside the project. That should only be installed while developing, not when you are building the app and releasing it. So that is fine. Now I will just do in the package.json, I'll add one more script here. So here that will be start, and I'll say nodemon and index.js. So if I do npm run start, I have my application up here, and if I go to the browser, localhost, and then 5000 I guess it was, or let's check 3000. So this is 3000. There's some issue? No, there doesn't seem to be any issue. The localhost 3000 is fine. Maybe I haven't started the app yet. Okay, so I haven't started the app, so what I want to do, app.listen, and then I'll give it a port, and here I'll give it something like console.log app backend server started on port. Here I can give the port, and I'll just change this to backtick so I can to string interpolation. This seems fine. And if I okay, so I don't have to rerun the server since I'm doing nodemon, but I have just done that. So now we are getting hello project here. So our backend application is up and running. Now what we can do is we can see our task list first, and we have here get init. So init endpoint we want to create, and create db schema based on the JSON. So since I think we have this, let me check where do we have this file. If I open terminal here, and if I do here, so I have this product JSON here. What I'll do is I'll just copy the path here, and I'll just paste it here for now as a comment, so this will be useful later. So we want a slash init endpoint, and that will have a request and a response, same structure. And what do we want to do here? So here what we want to do is we first want to read the given JSON file. So I'll just do product JSON path, and inside this I'll give this path. So I'll just copy it here and paste it here. So I have the JSON path, and now I'll do fs. So I'll need to read this file, so I'll have to import fs here. So const fs equal to require fs, and I can use it here, fs.read file. Inside read file, what all parameters do we have? Check fs.read file documentation, Node.js official documentation. So inside, I'll just search it, read file, this one, and we have to give the file path here. So file path is product JSON path, and the next parameter I think is this encoding. So this encoding will be UTF-8, and then we can give it a callback. So I'll just define my callback, and it seems it takes error and data. So what I'll do here is I'll just console.log error, and I'll say, okay, so one thing I can do is if we have an error, then I'll just do console.error fail to open file, and path is, okay, so let's change this to backticks again, product JSON path, and error will be our given error here, and I should return here. And if we are in the happy case, we should get the data. I'll just log here that data is this. Now we are running this. Backend server started. I'll just make a curl here. So curl -l http://localhost 3000/init. Okay, so this runs fine, and we get the JSON data here. So since this is like stuck, the reason is we haven't sent any response back to the client, so we will have to do that. I'll just send a response here, and ideally we should also send a response here in case of error, but for now I am just skipping that. And what we want here is result.send init ran successfully, something like that. And now if I just redo this call, so init ran successfully, we get that, and here is our data. So now what we want to do is we want to traverse on this data. So before we do that, we just want to get this thing const product JSON list, and I will do a JSON.parse since that is a red, like that is a string, so that's why I have to convert it into a JSON, valid JSON, before I can traverse on it, of course. And then what I'll do is I'll just use const key in our product JSON list, and I can just console log the first entry here. We'll just get an idea what we are getting here, and I'll also log the first key here, and that will be key itself, and the first entry will be product JSON list key. Okay, and I'll just break it for now since I just want to get one entry here. I hit this again, and we are getting the complete log, so I'll remove that log. I'm removing this one, and then I hit this endpoint again, and we get that the first key is 0 and the first entry is this one. Now we are able to get all the entries, so I'll just comment it out. And what we can do, so now what we have to do as per our requirement is we want to create a DB schema based on the JSON. So I am dumping the JSON as it is inside MongoDB. So for that you will have to install MongoDB on your system, and I do have it installed. So if I do mongo sh, I can connect to Mongo, and it is running on my local machine. So as per your operating system, you will have to install it. And I'll also recommend you to install one more software, that is MongoDB Compass. So it is MongoDB Compass. So it's a GUI, and it makes visualizing and doing some operations quite easy. So I've also installed it, and then you can connect it on your localhost by giving it the connection string. So I'll just connect it, and as we can see, we have pre-created databases here. So I'll also create one more database, and I'll just call it MERN, and I'll give it a collection inside this. So collection is like a table, and database as in SQL is a database, and you can map collection to a table directly. So we want at least one collection inside this database, so we'll create one with the name transactions, and I'll just see if we want to set up anything, and nothing I see that we want to set up here. I'll just do create database, and now we have created the database, and here is our database, and this is the collection. So currently we don't have any data, so now we will try to populate some data inside it. So in order to do that, I'll be using Mongoose, and here I can see, so Mongoose makes it really simple to communicate with MongoDB for JavaScript, and so it is an elegant object modeling for Node.js. So in simple words, it is somewhat like an ORM. So you can create object, you can map it to your database, and it makes a lot of tasks easier. So let's see how we can set it up. So we want to, first of all, we want to install Mongoose. I'll just do it, and I should be inside the backend folder here for the server, and I'll do npm I mongoose. So now my mongoose library is installed. So what I have to do is I have to set it up. So what I should do here is I'll just see this example and probably copy it for my use, and I should do it here before defining the endpoint. So what we have here, 12707. So this is my localhost, and the port is also fine. And this shouldn't be test. This is the database that I created with the name MERN here. This one. So I also want a model, so that will be transactions in our case. And here I'll give the table, the collection name or the table name. And here we want to define the schema. I'll define the schema here. If I just open, and what I'll do is I'll just a sec. I'll just open the JSON here. So this is my JSON, and I have ID, title, and all of these things. I'll just copy this, and then okay, so I'll have to write it. ID is of type number, and then title is of type string, and then price is of type number. So I'll just write all the types. Description is of type string, category is of type string, image is of type string since it's a URL, sold is type boolean, and then date of sale is of type date. Okay, so I've defined the schema here. Now what we want to do, we want to use this transaction model to insert the data into MongoDB. So what we will do here, so we are traversing the data here. I'll just remove these logs since they are of no use now. And what I'll do is I'll just get the product JSON here. So that will be product JSON list and the key inside that. And what we want is we want to create a DB entry for this same product JSON DB entry, and I'll just do new transactions, and I'll provide it the product JSON. So this will create one object for us. And what we can do here is we can do product JSON DB entry dot save. We can call the save method here, and it will throw an error here. So I'll just do if error, then I'll just console dot error here, error while saving JSON, product JSON. So I'll just give the error first, and I'll just change it. So this will be the error, and the product JSON also I'll print since that can be useful for debugging. So product JSON, and then I can return from here directly. Otherwise I'll just do console.log save successfully, and the ID is the product JSON DB entry dot and then ID. So just a log to track the data is saved or not. And that seems fine. I'll just run the endpoint again. Partial file, no, just do a write here, and I'll just do the init endpoint again, and it ran successfully, but we are getting an error. So it says model.prototype.save no longer accepts a callback. So we can't give it a callback here since this was removed, and as a result I'll just give it a save here, and I'll just do product. So I guess this save method, if I check and go to the docs and see the save method, API for save. Okay, so the parameters are this, and it of course returns a promise. And what we can do here is we can await on that promise, and we will have to make this function async. So let's see, we're getting some sort of an error. Index.js line number 38. Let's see, this seems fine. Okay, so this is the issue, I guess. Unexpected end of input. Let me see again, where are we missing something? Okay, so we are missing this, I guess. Yeah, this seems fine now. Line number 38 is still an error for us because we also want this, maybe. Yeah, so now it is fine. Now if I run this endpoint, we do get backend server started on port 3000. We are doing this await, and let's see if we have the data here. So we have 60 records, and if I check how much data we have here, I'll just copy this one, JSON editor, and here I'll just see. Okay, so it is not copied for some reason. So what I can do is I can just print it here, I guess. Right here, if I see, okay, I'll just log it, that console.log saved all records successfully, and count should be here. Count is going to be the length of my product JSON. Okay, product JSON list dot length. I guess this is how you print the length. Let's see if I'm wrong here. So it says product JSON list is not defined since it is inside this. So can I do data dot length here? Let's try this thing. Data is not defined. Okay, since it is inside this, so I'll have to do move it inside here, and I'll do product JSON list. I'll just check it's repeated new, so the count has increased. So what I'll do, I'll just clear this thing, this db again, dot delete many, and you can do like this. I've removed those documents, and now what I'm doing here is I'll rerun this endpoint, and the count is 6. So that is correct. So we have all the 60 documents saved here, and this is of type date. We have all these fields. So I guess this thing is done. So I'll just mark it as done here. This is also done.